Paulie Malignaggi. We got combat and coffee today, minus the coffee. I'm in the office. Got Pro Box TV live fights tonight, so no coffee right now. I am having a busy day, but got to make some time for the Paulie TV crew here on the set live discussing. What are we discussing today, Jimmy? All things boxing, of course. What are we discussing?
We're going over kind of what happened this past weekend and what transpired over these past 2 months and how we got a little bit.
Well, we got. I tell you what, though, I still got to double down on what I said on Pro Box TV. People are killing me over here. You're killing me, guys. But here's the thing. I mean, really, I get it. Like, oh, you couldn't really see him winning the fight if he didn't have with the power advantage he had. We all knew Ryan had the power advantage before that. You know, we just assumed based on what he was showing us that he didn't have it all there. He wasn't really putting it together. Haney seemed like really very focused and very professional. I still think there was a little bit of an act to what Ryan was doing. I think Ryan admitted that, but I heard some of what his interview with Patrick Ben-David. I'm still torn on it because he made like he was drinking the whole time and he made like he was fooling around the whole time. But then he also slips up and says the beer at the weigh-in wasn't really a beer. It was seltzer and apple juice. But then he goes back and says he was drinking again. So like, I think there's a bit of a compulsive liar in the kid, but I think it also kind of makes for a crazy image that you're kind of interested in and makes you curious about him. A little bit like Conor McGregor, just not as much of a dickhead, you know, where, you know, he's kind of all over the place. But I think Ryan is genuinely not a bad kid. I at least that's what I'm gathering from what the energy I get off him, you know. I don't think Ryan would, you know, try to intentionally you know, hurt anybody on his way to the top. You know what I'm saying? Unless they're obviously in his way in a competitive aspect, like Devin Haney was, you know. Yeah, I think he admits to a degree that it was an act in some of the interviews. Even if you say, okay, I'm going to act crazy and then I'm going to win the fight, you still probably wouldn't have thought he would have won the fight. I mean, really, if you're speaking logically,
I still want to pick them.
Like, no, yeah, I guess if you're speaking logically, based on what you saw from him, he didn't look particularly impressive with Duarte, which was kind of a gimme fight, which he was supposed to win. So the fact that he won, it didn't really count. It was the way he looked. You left some question marks. He quit against Gervonta Davis, but of course there's context to that quitting. You know, I do think the weight affected him and the rehydration clause affected him. I do admit that I should have probably kept more of that into consideration. That's when I'll admit where I'm wrong and right. I should have probably kept the rehydration clause he had against Gervonta Davis into consideration. I still think people today are not considering that enough because now they're comparing Haney and Gervonta Davis and making like they're two different levels of fighters. Gervonta Davis's power is really a difference maker at a high level. And at a high level, I was a guy who was at a world-class level without monster power. And really, you're fighting at a disadvantage constantly, and you need to be very, very clever. And I just don't think Devin showed enough cleverness in the fight. I think he kind of exposed him for being what I said he was. When I never said he was a bad fighter. I said he was sort of me with money behind hhim. You know, I realized what I was back at the time. He fought Ryan Garcia. What is he, about 25 years old, Devin Haney, right now?
Yeah.
Or 26?
Yeah, he's my age. He's 20.
So he's 25, 26. That's the same age I was when I fought Cotto, which was also a really physically debilitating fight. So you can be the same again afterwards. You can be successful even afterwards because I hear people saying, oh, he took such a bad beating, he'll never be the same again. I thought Cotto was a better fighter than Ryan, more complete, tons of firepower as well, but a more complete fighter. Ryan,
I don't think you're the only one with that opinion.
But I also think that Ryan didn't show us the best he can be. I do think there's an element of Ryan that didn't take the fight seriously, even though I don't believe that he was drinking as much as everybody makes like he was drinking. But I do think there's an element of Ryan that can show us he's even better. He fought very incomplete rounds, you know, so that if you see him, if you would have fought those rounds to completion every single time, I think maybe he probably gets a stoppage over Haney. Mm-hmm. And Cotto was a guy who fought very complete rounds and stay on you, cutting off the ring, really debilitating you. And all I'm saying is I was able to still be the same and win titles after that. And I still think Haney can come back from that as well. Here's where it gets negative for Haney. The fact that what you thought he was is what he wasn't. But it doesn't mean he's a bad fighter. And that's what I was trying to say from the start when I was getting a lot of hate, even from him and from all the people. And they made like, oh, just because I said he wasn't a pound-for-pound entrance, just because he wasn't a Mayweather-type fighter, doesn't mean he's now all of a sudden not world-class. Devin Haney is and still will remain world-class, but he showed his limitations here. I actually think he showed more limitations than I would have shown in this fight because I had better use of my jab. I never abandoned my jab. And I never, ever would have fought a big puncher like this staying squared up. Staying squared up makes you more of a target. And it's only for really things to do for punchers. And even punchers shouldn't do it all the time. They should just pick their spots to do it. Devin Haney fought completely squared up, making himself a much bigger target, and he took a lot of power shots because of it. And he never adjusted that, and had no instructions in the corner whatsoever that to even make those little, small, minute adjustments. Also, the cleverness makes you fight out of different looks, using feints, using different looks, different shooting off different angles. You're punching at things that Mayweather would do. I said on Pro Box TV the other day, you want to compare him with Mayweather. Mayweather got hurt really badly early in the fight as well against Shane Mosley. And what happened after that? He won every second of the remainder of the fight. Even after getting hurt, it was crazy. Devin Haney got hurt very early in the fight. Couldn't put it together. Couldn't really put a good game plan together. So I think there's things to go back to drawing board for Haney and work on. I think this, it sucks because I think he's a good world-class fighter, and I think he can win another championship. I really think he can still stay there, but I just don't know how much confidence he's going to have after this, because mentally they're going to probably be killing him. I've seen the memes already. They're hammering him right now. It sucks to get beat in this generation of the internet, where the memes just come out left, right, and center. Also, Ryan, I think, is overplaying the fact that he made like he didn't train and he beat him anyway. I think that's being overplayed. You couldn't have, maybe you didn't train as hard as you could. Maybe you didn't stand as sharply as you could. I think I'll put it this way. I think he trained hard. I don't think he trained sharply. I don't think he trained mentally all there, because you got to be able to be in kind of somewhat kind of shape to be in a championship 12-rounder like this fight was, and be able to carry that and be able to carry your power late into the fight, which he did, So he's definitely in shape. Maybe he wasn't mentally always there, always honed in during camp. And I think that's what also brings out the fact that he was fighting incomplete rounds and whatnot. But Haney really should have took advantage of the dead spots Ryan was giving him and taking control of the fight in a deceptive way with his lead hand, again, using feints, using different looks and whatnot. And that's something he never did and he never thought to do. And he had opportunities to do it. And instead he fought in the wrong way. He just kept trying to square up and walk Ryan down, which was completely, really a moronic thing to do. And he should have got better instructions in the corner to at least stop doing that.
It seemed like Ryan had no respect for his power as well.
Well, that can happen.
You think that went in before the fight? He's like, this guy doesn't really have power to even stop me, and so I'm not going to train as hard.
That's the thing. Well, that's the thing. I don't know if he didn't train as hard, because again, his conditioning for 12 rounds was there. But I don't think he trained as sharply. I don't think he was as sharp. Listen, everybody making like this was a great performance by Ryan. I mean, he just kind of jumped in with all those punches, chin up in the air. There's a lot there to exploit off of Ryan's style too. Even the way he looked on Saturday, there's things to work on from Ryan. But everybody's right now is on the bandwagon because he won the fight, and that's well they should be. I mean, listen, Ryan earned a great victory, but there's things you still got to look between the lines. He didn't make weight. Losing those last 2-3 pounds is the biggest killer. When you struggle to make weight, those last 2-3 pounds are the biggest killer, and Haney did that. Even if they weighed the same the next night, the fact that you had to take off those last 2-3 pounds makes a big difference, because let's face it, Haney's also big at the weight, but Haney made the weight, But of course, from the other side, Haney can't criticize too much, because Haney took the money. Ryan paid him $500,000 a pound, and Haney said he took the money. So you know what? You let yourself get suckered for $1.5 million. Some people would say, hey, I'd let myself get suckered for $1.5 million. That's a lot of money. But you know what? Haney was already making a lot of money, so he didn't really have to get suckered for $1.5 million. He could have said, go lose the weight, or we're not fighting. And he could have really held it over his head. I mean, everybody would have been disappointed. Everybody would have been pissed. But looking back, and obviously hindsight is 20/20, but looking back, you'd probably rather have done that. I mean, you'd have less money in your bank account because you wouldn't have made the money from the fight, but you probably still have your brand and your image still intact, Yeah. So it's and people would probably be criticizing Ryan for blowing the fight over the weight, So it would have been interesting. And I'll tell you what, they had Barboza ready to go. So I'll tell you what, Barboza would have probably.
You were ready for that. You're ready for that.
They had him as a backup opponent. So if Ryan didn't make the weight and Haney said, no, I'm not fighting this guy because he's not making the weight, they would have brought in Barboza, who was on the undercard and didn't look that good anyway.
Yeah.
So you would have saved it for you regardless.
You said congrats to Ryan, and on Twitter you addressed what his dad said, and you said he deserved the right to motherfuck at everybody. How does that make you feel?
Yeah. Listen, bro, especially when you're young, you really use that as motivation, And I think Ryan using the criticism as motivation is par for the course, and I think he's got a right to do that. And bro, I would have been doing the same thing, so I don't even blame him for that. But his father's a little older, should be a little smarter, or at least could do the same thing, but in maybe a little bit more of a mature way, I can remember myself in my 20s, but I was kind of neurotic. I'm still kind of neurotic now. I mean, in my 20s and 30s, for sure. Um, so I don't blame Ryan at all. You're in the moment. You're kind of feeling the
Yeah.
high of the moment, high of the victory. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Even if later on maybe it's not really what you mean. In the moment, you got it out for everybody because everybody doubted you. But I mean, if he played this act, isn't that what he wanted? If
Yeah.
he says he played this
It
act,
worked. It worked because we
yeah,
made 2 videos
it
on it.
worked. But yeah, it's obviously what you wanted. So it's like we gave you what you
Yeah.
wanted. I mean,
Yeah.
you baited us in if that's what you wanted, and you said you're gonna, and then okay, it's what you wanted. Well, you got what you wanted. Because even if you told me in January I'm gonna play the crazy guy, and then I'm gonna go out and really take it serious, it doesn't matter. I probably still would have said you're still not good enough. You know what I mean? Because I
Mhm.
hadn't seen enough of Ryan to really think that Ryan could handle this kind of situation. So
Yeah.
even I don't know if it was baiting because even if you're going crazy, if Mike Tyson was flipping out in the 80s, and he was still coming in and knocking people out, and nobody was ever picking against him. And Mike Tyson was going
Yeah.
through a divorce with Robin Givens and whatnot, knocking out Michael Spinks at the same time. I mean, I can remember back then, even as a kid, everybody was high on Tyson. Nobody was going to doubt Tyson, despite the personal problems he was going through. So I don't think it was just the act of Ryan making like he was crazy that made people pick against Ryan. I think that added to
Yeah.
it. But also, Ryan had not shown to this point in his career that he can handle this level of boxing, and he was very, very inconsistent. And that's
And
and now now we've learned, but still, is he a bit of an enigma? We still don't know because again, there's a lot of things you can exploit off of what Ryan showed Saturday night. Ryan didn't exactly look his best, but now and he's built his brand to this level, winning this fight the way he has. I don't think he has to take on so many tough fights all at once. I think now you can kind of maneuver him in a
the
way. Barboza didn't look good. You could probably get him like a comeback win against Barboza, who has been waiting for a big shot himself. So that's kind of deserving for Barboza, even though again I don't think he beat McCombs the other night. But nonetheless, it's a fight you can make. They're both at Golden Boy. It's a fight you can make. Um,
he said he wants to move
and
up to 147 though.
but the thing about Ryan is he's got to win a world title, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like the face of boxing. Because remember we talking about who's going to be the face of boxing. Who's going to be the face of boxing? Well, you
Yeah.
know what? This kid, what he's just done, whether you like it or not, kind of made himself the face of boxing at this point. Ryan
Yeah.
Garcia is the face of boxing because all he needed to do, he needed just a big win like this to catapult himself to the face of boxing. He was already very, very popular. But
And if you guys
he
thought he was
needs
annoying before he won
he
the
needs a
fight.
world title. He needs a world title. I don't
Yeah.
know. He needs a world championship. I just don't get it.
I was gonna say if you guys thought he was annoying before this fight and
Yeah.
being active online, he won't shut up
But
until his
I think,
next fight.
the act and whatnot. I mean, I think now we kind of take it a little bit more with a grain of salt,
Yeah.
I think it's part of the act. I don't believe
You
all
went to
the Jesus stuff.
You didn't think he went to Bohemian Grove and he got
But the fact that he heard about it, I mean, some of us have heard about it. I've heard of Bohemian
I've
Grove
heard
and whatnot.
Bohemian Grove too, and I
Yeah,
just found out like
yeah,
from a book I got like 6 months ago. I'm like, why is he
yeah,
talking about Bohemian
yeah.
Grove before a
Well,
fight?
especially during camp or whatnot. But I do think that I do think there are some things off about him, like the fact that he believes the Holy Spirit would help him win fights and whatnot. I think there's a scripture. I'm pretty biblical myself. I think there's a scripture. I
Yeah.
think it's Psalms 11. I think it's Psalms 11:5 that says God detests violence. So I don't know if God's helping you win your boxing matches, dude.
I don't know if it
Nonetheless,
was there last year
whatever
against
voices he
Tank.
thinks he's hearing, yeah, you can Google it if it's Psalms 11:5. I don't know. I think it's Psalms 11:5, but whatever he thinks he's hearing, the voices in his head, that he thinks are blessings from God. I mean, if it's got to do with boxing, I highly doubt it's from God, dude. So you got to really get yourself checked with that regards too. I don't think God is helping you win boxing matches.
I got you.
Um,
The
yeah,
Lord tests the righteous, but his soul hates the wicked, the one who loves violence.
yeah. See, the one
And
who
the
loves
one
violence,
and the one who loves violence.
and the
All
one
right.
who loves violence. Yeah, God is not a God who really is going to give his support of in sporting violence. I don't think I don't
Especially
I don't know
boxing.
about that. Yeah, especially in boxing. So boxing is violence to the core. But not to say that it's negative or positive. I'm just saying it's a violent sport. So I don't think God is helping you with your results in boxing. But nonetheless, good win for Ryan Garcia. But the voices he's hearing in his head, I'm gonna tell you now, that's not the Holy Spirit, dude. That's not God. So whatever it is, dude,
That's the
I don't
Haney
know.
talking.
That's between you and whatever you're hearing, my man. That's kind of
uh,
wild.
I wanted to go back to a point that you said on our phone call where I was saying people were telling you that you blame being sick on picking Devin.
I didn't blame being sick. I just said I was sick. I didn't blame being sick.
You kind of like you were like, I was sick. I was thinking
Did I?
about some other
No, I
things.
said I was under the weather, but it wasn't. It wasn't. But I was just like I was acknowledging that I was under the weather, but I wasn't. I wasn't saying that that was the reason I picked Ryan to lose the fight.
You
I
like
was.
my
I
head
mean,
wasn't clear. I might have been thinking.
oh, come on, give me a break. Yeah,
Well,
everybody can go take a look at the footage. I was just acknowledging because I didn't want people to hear my sick voice and be like, "What's wrong? Why does Paulie sound like this?" I was acknowledging, "Hey, listen, I'm sick. That's why I sound like this. I sound stuffed up. I'm still not over it,
and
bro.
I just happened to pick the overwhelming favorite that lost, but that might have been the the reason. And you also made a good point. That was the first time Devin fought anybody of his caliber at his age.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I said. I mean, I that's why I think he can still be the same. People are going to now say, "Oh, he's never going to be the same." And if he doesn't have the same amount of success going forward as he did in the past, people are going to say, "Oh, this fight affected him." But I don't believe that. I believe this fight, all it did was really expose what he's really at, and that means that, and what he really is a world class fighter who's not a pound for pound this kind of guy. And that's not an issue. I don't think that's an issue. The fact that people took umbrage to that when I said that before, and the fact that people took an issue with that when I said that before, is just because they don't know shit about boxing. But other than that, I mean, it's basically he's still a world class fighter, and I believe he can win world championships. Is he going to be in the next Mayweather? Just because he's not going to be the next Mayweather, does that mean he's not the same anymore from before? No, he was never going to be the next Mayweather. I told you that from the start. He beat a lot of old guys. Lomachenko, who's past his prime and not at his best weight, probably beat him. And 9 out of 10 people who 9 out of 10 people who watched the fight believe Lomachenko beat Haney. The 1 out of 10 that believe Haney won the fight, 9 out of 10 of those only believe Haney won the fight because he's black, and they're going the black route, the LDC route. So they'll BC route, whatever those guys are. So really, in reality, there was no really anybody unbiased to watch the Lomachenko Haney and thought Haney legitimately won the fight. I mean, very, very small percentage. So he probably lost that fight anyway. So which leaves you with what? A bunch of former champions that are 100 years old when he fought them, which him having money behind them, you're able to get those guys in the ring because getting those guys in the ring costs money. Those guys are ex-champions. They're valued to get them as an opponent. It costs a little bit more money because they've won championships in the past. The fact that his kid had money behind him, he was able to get those guys in the ring at their past their prime, and he was able to get the money spent to get those guys in the ring, and it makes him look good. Then the other break he called was Kambosos because really it was supposed to be Lomachenko that fought Kambosos and beats Kambosos for the undisputed title. And instead, Haney does that, So I mean, that's a big break as well. And people kept drinking the Kool-Aid. And I will say I was impressed with the fact that he was able to go to Australia and box. Again, this kid is still world class. It's not like he's a kid who's not world class. He's just not a pound for pound list guy, And then that's it. I mean, the prograis win actually was where I started buying the Kool-Aid. I'll be honest with you. The prograis win finally got me. I mean, he was 34 years old, prograis. Yes, he's a little bit older as well, but nobody had done that to prograis. You can say
like
prograis was
you changed after that. Your opinion on him changed a little bit.
Yeah, because I was very, very impressed with it. But again, I mean, you can also look at prograis now. Again, hindsight is always 20/20, guys. So you can always also look at that and say, hey, you know what? Prograis was a little bit older as well. So this is the first time we see Haney with a guy that's his age. When you're fighting guys in their prime, when you're in your prime and they're in their prime, again, kind of like when I fought Cotto, you're fighting all kinds of firepower now because now at world class level, there's a lot of firepower at world class level because a big helper in getting you to world class level is having that firepower, having that power, So if you're there without that firepower, it means you box very well on your way up, because most of the time at the highest level, there's a lot of firepower you're dealing with because those guys with firepower, they have a little bit of a fast track to the world class level because they can make more mistakes and get their power bails them out, sort of like Ryan. So I felt like, now you're in with somebody like you, and let's see what you got. Kind of like when I fought Cotto. Now you're in with somebody like me. Everybody makes like, oh, Haney already is better than Paulie when he was 23 than Paulie ever was. Nah. Now you got your answer. Now you're fighting guys that I had to deal with my whole career once I got to world class level. You know what I mean? And I didn't get to pick and choose. Haney's got the benefit at least of picking and choosing because he's still going to have that money. Haney comes from money, so I think they're going to be able to maneuver him correctly and get him more world championships. I was able to get world championships, so I don't see why Haney's wouldn't be able to get championships after this. I still think there's a place for him. I still think he's going to be popular, and I still think there's going to be a curiosity about him. But damn, Ryan Garcia. I mean, the sky's the limit at this point for Ryan Garcia. What do you do with him now? Where do you go? I don't think he's going to test himself against the very best because now I think he's at the point where his star is so high he can basically fight anybody, and he'll he'll be able to, draw a lot of attention. It's kind of like when Oscar De La Hoya was coming up. Now you finally got the win you needed to make Ryan into what Oscar De La Hoya was. Oscar De La Hoya was able to fight top guys, but he was also able to fight the Patrick Charpentiers of the world and get tons of money and get tons of attention. So I think Ryan is finally, with this win, he finally got a win he needed, is able to now maybe maneuver into that kind of realm where he doesn't always have to fight the best of the best, but he's going to be popular no matter what. He's going to get views no matter what, and people are going to talk about him no matter what. Having said that, I'd like to see him win a world championship so it stamps him even in the boxing world. I mean, in the boxing world, he's kind of stamped after this win. But again, there's us boxing people can see between the lines too. You didn't make weight, all this other stuff. Haney maybe wasn't what he was, all this other stuff. You'll want to see Ryan win a world championship to really cement him for both the casuals, who he's already cemented with, and the hardcore boxing fans. And I think that's really, really necessary. And I think he can. I think he will. I just don't know what weight it'll be at. But I think 147 is very barren. I mean, you got Ennis, who's the monster. But outside from Ennis, you got Stanionis there. But the 147 is pretty barren. Everybody left the weight class. So there is a spot for Ryan to possibly win a world championship at 147. There could be a place there.
They could just set something up. I mean, who has did Crawford release all the belts?
I'm not sure. But I mean, if they think Ryan Garcia can go win the belts, they'll strip him in a second, bro. The sanctioning bodies are all about money. If they've got to think Ryan Garcia can go get the belts, they'll strip Crawford in a second.
Yeah. Boots just confirmed a fight yesterday. I saw against somebody, so I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Also, I don't think Ryan would stand a chance against Boots. In my opinion.
No, but I'll give Ryan credit in that he's willing to fight the best. He fought Gervonta and Haney.
Yeah.
He's the only one that was fighting. He was going after everybody. And also when we talk about Haney finally being in the ring against somebody of his age with firepower at a world class level, you know what? Ryan had already been through that with Gervonta Davis. Granted, he was the rehydration clause and having to make 135 and everything, but Ryan did have that experience in his back pocket that Haney did not. Haney had the Lomachenko experience, but again, Lomachenko, as good as he was, and I thought Lomachenko beat him, he's still older and he's still not at his best weight. Lomachenko's best weight was still at featherweight. It's just very small lightweight.
Do you think that big come up to Tank versus Ryan and the way he took it and with the rehydration clause? And you've already said it affected it, but like that affected the way he trained. He's like, I took that really seriously and it ended up awful for me. And this one he took way less seriously and ended up on the best thing of his career.
But again, if you look at between the lines, even in the Patrick Ben David interview, he's giving himself away too. Like he said, people, you're not seeing how good I'm looking in the gym. You guys weren't seeing how good. So like he's giving himself away. He's kind of lying, but it's okay. I get what he's doing. You know what I mean? He's trying to make like he didn't take anything serious, and he's so good that in fact he didn't have to do anything and just get up off the couch and beat a world champion.
Yeah,
I don't think it was that black and white. I think there's a little bit of gray in the middle. I do think he was playing the fool, playing crazy, just like he predicted he would do it in January. Now that video's apparently has come out that he said he would predict that he would do this, but I do think he was training seriously. And then he also makes like he was drinking so much, but then he admits that the beer was apple cider and apple juice and seltzer water in the Patrick Ben David interview. So again, you started to wonder, okay, was he even drinking? Because if you were drinking, then why wouldn't you just have drank a real beer at the weigh-in too? Why are you telling me it's apple juice and seltzer? Maybe you weren't drinking. Maybe you're just ordering a bunch of drinks and maybe having your friends drink them. Who knows? Or whatever.
The social media promotion. The social media aspect of promotion is weird because my generation is getting into it. And I was even saying before the fight, remember, I was like, I don't know, probably this generation's kind of weird. We're kind of weird with the way we do stuff.
It is, but you're also getting a situation where it's easy to fool people because you also got a dumber generation. Social media generation, we're very the new generation is very advanced technologically, but very stupid logically and common sense wise. And so I think it's easy to fool a lot of people in this. So I don't know, Jimmy, it's not, you're a one-off, Jimmy. You're smart. I'm not taking it out on you, but I think that when Ryan's saying so many different things, you're gonna have people grasping onto one thing and people grasping onto something else. So you got to take the whole thing and kind of judge it as a whole. And I think if I judge it as a whole, he's kind of exaggerating.
I think when he mentioned Bohemian Grove, that's when we should have been like, okay, this is all act.
Yeah, that was a bit extreme, man. I guess, like I said, I've looked into Bohemian Grove too. There's a lot of things. There's a lot to unpack there, which you can't really unpack on. I wouldn't unpack it publicly, honestly. I wouldn't.
There's a lot to unpack.
That wouldn't be a conversation I would have publicly.
Yeah, that's a different podcast. Any final thoughts on what you want to see from these guys? We've already kind of been over. You want to see Ryan at 147? You could probably get it about there.
I'd like to see Ryan just win a belt to really cement himself as a star. I think he's a star already, but I think the fact that he's a star without a world title is more so on the stupidity of the modern generation. Mike Tyson was a big phenom, but until he won a world championship is when he finally became a superstar. Like people were very, very curious about Mike Tyson, even before he was coming up, even before he won the world championship. People were super curious about him. I think the movie Coming to America came out in 1986. And they mentioned him in the movie, and he didn't win a world title until the end of 1986, which means that when they filmed it and used his name, that's how big Mike Tyson's star was. Yeah. But it really cemented him once he became a world champion at the end of 1986, and then so on and so forth, everything he did afterwards. I think Ryan has had there's been a big curiosity about him, but the fact that he's a star without a world championship is more due to the stupidity of this generation than anything else. I'd like to see him stamp himself as a world champion to really just kind of bring the whole thing together, And I think he has the ability. I think he has the talent. I think he has the power. But again, he's sort of an enigma. You don't know what version of Ryan you're going to get. And I also think there's things in his style that you can't exploit. A world-class fighter can't exploit him. But I think at 147, there's a lot of barren land there. And there's a possibility for him to win world championships. But I'd like to see him make 140 as well. He said he could have made 140, but he didn't want to weaken himself. I mean, dude, wouldn't it be cool to win a title at 140 and then go to 147 after? I don't know, man. I mean, there's a possibility there too. But then again, 140 is very, very difficult to win.
Win
a world champion.
How much do you? We'll close out with this because we're running a little bit over. How much do you credit Gleason's gym training in front of your championship banner before the fight?
Oh,
did you see that? Yeah, he was in Gleason's. Yeah, I was in Gleason's. I took a screenshot of him. My brother sent me. My brother just started boxing. He's been annoying as fuck about it. He's at 5 a.m. and he's in shape. Yeah, it's
he's up for it. He's passionate about it. He's doing that.
He's in Hawthorne with a trainer. And
you know what? That's another positive thing about Ryan. Maybe Ryan's influencing people to start boxing. Who knows?
Yeah, my brother's like, man, I won't get my left hook right now. I'm just like, dude.
That's all Ryan then. If he's even practicing a left hook, that's a negative about Ryan though. Now people are gonna try to copy exactly how he fights instead of just learning the box the best way.
All I'm saying, he's like, can you ask Paulie about this for me? I'm like, Paulie's only gonna tell you about your jab, bro. He's just gonna tell you the jab, the jab. And every time he texts me,
I think everything starts and ends with the jab. So I wouldn't tell people to start working on left hooks without having a good jab. At least at least working on the jab first.
You think that Gleason's energy? He's in there. He sees your championship banners. I'm gonna do this for Paulie.
You know what? I'm gonna do this. I think him seeing my name under the championship banner, as he was training and knowing all the bad stuff I said about him, I think it made him even more determined. When he was doing that public workout, a media workout in Gleason's gym, and he's like, man, I can't get away from this guy. This guy's been talking crap the whole training camp. Now his name is hung up right above me on a banner. You know what? I think I pissed him off even more, and I think that motivated him even more. There's tongue in cheek there.
Because people forget that you picked him in the tank fight, and I think a lot of people forget that.
I did pick him in the tank fight, but that's why I didn't pick him here, because I was like, all right, this kid is horrible, bro. This kid is all over the place. This kid is just not going to get the most out of himself. But yes, I did pick him in the tank fight, and I took a lot of heat from there too. It's funny because I take heat from all sides either way. I think there's.
Well, the thing is, you were wrong, so we got more viewers.
Well, I think there's a lot of heat too because. No, you can't make everybody happy either way. Like I've noticed I've gotten a lot of heat about giving Haney too much credit or being or deriding Haney, which
switching sides.
Anybody but really following me knows I wasn't riding Haney. That's for sure. I mean, I was the one who was downing him the most.
When you talked about that, I used the Diddy picture.
Yeah. So and then the criticism about not picking Ryan, which pretty much nobody picked Ryan. And this is I'll put it like this. If you really thought Ryan was going to win, send us your betting sheet showing us that you bet Ryan. If you really thought Brian was going to win, because yes, aside from a few degenerates that just love the odds, that I know have degenerate friends too. They just bet plus money all the time. They lose more than they win because when you bet the plus money guy all the time, most of the time that guy's losing. That sports team is losing. So, but I'll give you this. If you really thought Ryan was going to win, show us your betting sheet. This is the same thing as those people that had thought Haney beat Lomachenko. If you really thought Haney beat Lomachenko, I asked those people, show me your betting sheet when Haney was plus 500 going into round 12 that you bet Haney. Because Haney started out as a favorite against Lomachenko, but was plus 500 by the beginning of round 12, which means all the money was flowing in for Lomachenko. As people were watching the fight, they realized Lomachenko was winning and the bets were coming in. The live betting was coming in on Lomachenko. So, and nobody was able to send me a betting slip where they bet Haney at plus 500. Nobody was able to send me a betting slip in general with Haney. But yet everybody should have made like I should have known Haney was going to win, even though Haney never really won that fight. He robbed Lomachenko. So the same thing applies here. If you really thought Ryan was going to win the fight, if you really genuinely thought it and aren't a Monday morning quarterback, show me your betting slip. Send us your betting slip. Where can they send it, Jimmy? Send us what they send. Send us your betting slip and let us know that let us know that you were betting Ryan before the fight, because really all this energy post-fight, all this hindsight 2020 energy is never really the case of reality. Nobody was picking Ryan to win this fight, just like nobody thought Haney beat Lomachenko.
Paulie, I sent you the poll. I put out a poll. We got 23% of people picked it. 23%.
But that doesn't mean the picking is different. When you got to put your money where your mouth is different. Okay. Anybody can pick anything.
You're right.
No. Because if you really believe it, you love the plus money. If you really believe it, you're definitely going to bet it. If you really believe that, and they tell you, not only do you really believe it, but if you bet what you believe, you're going to get 5 times the amount of money you bet, or you're going to get 7 times the amount of money you bet. You're going to get 8 times.
It was plus 20. It was 20. It was plus 2,000 for Ryan by decision.
Ryan on point. So exactly. So if you really, really thought he was going to win, it's not. It wasn't a poll. A poll is anything. A poll can be fanboyed. Fanboys can do polls, But when you got to put your money up, that's like I told you. Haney Lomachenko, the odds moving. Those are people putting their money into Lomachenko. They realize Lomachenko's winning the fight. Those odds move because of money. When you're putting your money into it, it means your observations are backed by your own hard work. Your money. Nobody's got a slip that showed me Haney. They bet on Haney at plus 500 against Lomachenko at going into round 12. Nobody could do that. And I don't know that we're going to get any betting slips of people that bet Ryan. Yeah, a few degenerates. Ryan, this was a big fight. I got some degenerate friends myself that bet everything plus money.
I threw $25 on Ryan.
Okay, we might get some.
But I was in Denver, so I got the free play from the sports apps because
that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
And so how this free play, you know what I did? I got 8 $25 bets. I put 7 of them on Devin Haney by decision. And then I put 1 of them on Ryan Garcia by knockout.
And so you lost them all?
I lost them all. Well, it was all pretty.
Ryan by knockout.
Yeah.
Ryan by knockout, you lost that bet too.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but I mean, it was all free play.
You know what that means? You know what that means, Jimmy? Betting's not for you. Stay away from betting.
It was all free. It was all free play.
Betting. Somebody told me a long time ago, if you sweat them, don't bet them. All right? You sweat for your money. If you work hard for your money, don't bet your money.
Well, probably when you work
that's the tip of the day.
If you work in tennis like I do and you're watching all these matches like 30 hours a day. And before we wrap up, Center, by the way, I know this has nothing to do with boxing. We'll cut this off.
Top Italian dog.
Italian of the year so far? Winning the Australian Open?
Yeah, unless Italy wins the European Cup, which I doubt it. But
that was also the other thing I wanted to circle back. After you lost to Cotto, you had Italy win the World Cup a month later. I don't know if Devin has
anything going for him. I don't know. Maybe his favorite NBA team will win the NBA title. I don't know.
I mean, he's from San Francisco. The Warriors are out.
Oh, the Warriors are out.
Yeah, the Warriors are out.
All right. That's all right. Well, better than nothing. Yeah, I had Italy win the 06 World Cup.
What did they qualify?
Italy for the Euro? Yeah, they qualified for the Euro. Yeah. I mean, they actually won the last Euro, but I don't think we're in the running for this one. We got a tough group. Got Spain in our group, got Croatia in our group, and Albania in our group.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a tough one.
I just don't. Yeah, it's a tough one. All right. Well, we'll be back for what's the next big fight. When's Loma?
What's the next big fight? Well, no, there's Canelo, bro. Canelo's May 4th. May 4th against me here. What about Golden Boy? That's something else that has to be brought up. Golden Boy Promotions winning with Ryan Garcia. If Munguia beats Canelo, how much of a rocket ship is Golden Boy Promotions on? Oscar De La Hoya is going to go ape shit if Munguia beats Canelo, especially after having Ryan beating Haney and the company, a huge win for the company. I mean, Golden Boy Promotions is in a prime position right now to really F you to everybody if Munguia beats Canelo.
And it's a weird 180 that Oscar, I guess it maybe not have been a 180 that Oscar did with Ryan, but it seemed like he was way more happier to be at this press conference.
I mean, dude, I don't think Oscar really thought. I don't even think Oscar thought Ryan was going to win the fight. But Ryan is his investment, and it's a big investment, and it's a big money investment. So I think with Ryan winning, everybody's happy. Success breeds. The success will make everybody happy. And I think everybody's happy.
Devin Haney, he is not happy. He is jobber.
Oh, he didn't have success.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Do you have any advice to him if he actually broke his jaw after you broke your or
No, I mean, yeah,
what
that
do you
was
mean by
again. It's a lot of similarities with my fight with Cotto, even similar age in his fight with Ryan Garcia. Well, my thing is, welcome to big time boxing, bro. This is real big time boxing. This is guys in their prime, firepower. This is big
yeah.
time boxing. You thought you were in big time boxing before, and you kind of were with Lomachenko. But even the Lomachenko fight was a past his prime Lomachenko who beat him. So, well, I thought beat him, and most people don't beat him, but I still think he can come back. That's my advice, and that's my thoughts. I don't think that. I think the people that are saying he's ruined, that's jumping to conclusions. People were saying that about me when I had that Cotto fight. I really and it made me more determined, and I feel like if Haney has a passion for the sport and a love for the sport like he's been showing he's had, I
And
think
like
he'll
you
be back.
said, he did.
Yeah, he's shown a professionalism. He's been a consummate professional in his preparation and the way he's approached his boxing. And I think if that doesn't change, um, he made a lot of money, and like I said, he already comes from money. If that doesn't change, if his passion and love for the sport doesn't change with this setback, I think he'll be back. I think he'll be a name in the sport still, and I think he'll be in the conversation, bro. After I fought Cotto, I remained at the top of the sport or near the top of the sport for a decade. I was in a big fight every year from '06 to 2015 when I lost to Danny Garcia. That was my last big fight. So I think that
Well,
it
you,
easily
you got
easily
offered a
who can
lot
be
for
about.
that Garcia fight, right? You
Yeah,
got
yeah,
that
yeah.
was like you that was a
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but either way, I
offer
mean,
you
from
can't
'06,
refuse.
yeah, but I was on my way down by that
Yeah,
point too. But either way, what I'm saying is from '06 to
yeah,
15, I was at or near the top of the sport consistently. I won 2 world
yeah.
titles in that time, and I fought a lot of contenders in that time, and I was always on pay networks, on the high paying networks in that for that whole decade. So what I'm saying is, Haney, who has already been here and took this loss. At around the same age, same similar kind of fight, I think he'll remain. He can remain if he has the same mindset that he had before.